A bathroom in every domicile. The days of shared bathrooms are over. Welcome to Wooster Square Redevelopment, the best laid plans from blight to mid-century middle-class living. My name is Gina Pettinito. I am a visiting scholar at the University of Cincinnati, but these days I'm working on my two businesses, Writing Your Way and Academic Women Reclaim Your Power. Today, we're going to talk about the actual plans that the New Haven Redevelopment Association presented to the Wooster Square community in two public hearings in the late 1950s. Here's the overview. The first thing they talked about is unscramble and properly zone, clearing the blight, rehabilitating the existing housing, and renewing the overall area. We're going to talk about each one in turn. The first is the unscrambling. We've already talked about this with regard to the ring road, but essentially they talked about no more mixing of shops, industries, and residential neighborhoods. This was the old-fashioned industrial city. We're going to be moving into the modern city that has been carefully planned. Now, what we have is right here, Interstate 91. The industry is going to be to the east of Interstate 91 and the residential area to the west of Interstate 91. And as we talked about, these residential areas are going to be gentrified. Another thing they talked about is the row houses on Court Street are going to be converted to single-family dwellings. Now, essentially, those houses were flop houses where people would rent a room and have shared bathrooms and shared eating facilities. Those were going to be turned into single-family apartments. And right now, those are really, really expensive apartments, a beautiful neighborhood. And then they're going to have the shops and stores located on Grand. This is the northern artery here to the north, and on Wooster Street, which I believe is right here, which is now called Little Italy. Blight, as we talked about before, they thought of as a cancer that was going to take over the entire neighborhood, just like cancer spreads through the body. However, blight was loosely defined. Here we have typical housing on Green Street. This area here could have easily been my father's house that housed 10 people. And now again, it's just that small little area with 10 people inside. The ubiquitous clotheslines, the rickety fences, in many cases there was trash in the backyard. Wood-burning stoves that people didn't use, things like this, outhouses that people didn't use as well. So this particular housing area was viewed as blighted, and it was indeed completely razed for Interstate 91. The next is St. Patrick's Church right over here. Now, they had said publicly that St. Patrick's Church would not be touched, but in fact, St. Patrick's Church was razed along with the adjoining school and the entire neighborhood area. And Columbus School. Now, this doesn't look particularly blighted to me, but they had other plans for the schools, which we're going to talk about later. So they defined all the neighborhood schools as blighted. Columbus School was the school my father went from, I think, 1st to 8th grade. And Columbus School was right across from St. Michael's Church. Rehabilitate existing housing. They wanted to bring everything up to code, plumbing and electrical. People whose houses were able to remain actually moved elsewhere in order for them to come in and rehabilitate everything. They actually had a blue book where it had all of the specifications of what these new mid-century houses were going to look like. Each unit was going to have its own bathroom with its own egress. So No more walking through other people's bedrooms in order to get to a bathroom. The bathroom was going to have its own door available to anybody in the house. Imagine that. One bathroom per family. Nowadays, we are lucky if we get by with two, right? And every kitchen will have a Frigidaire, an electric stove, and a sink. And so this was their image, the model of mid-century middle-class domesticity. Mom, dad, the obligatory two kids, of course, the boy and the girl, and the mid-century modern furniture. This here I found within the New Haven Museum archives. This was defined as blight. Renew the area. The new community school, the Conti Community School, will replace the old neighborhood schools. So there's your justification for getting rid of all the schools. There's going to be new parks and walkways. And the area around Wooster Square Park was to be beautified or rehabilitated or renewed or redeveloped. All of these words were being used. Nowadays, we just call it gentrification. Back in the day, people used to heat their houses with coal and coal burning furnaces that created dust, which got in people's lungs and also got on the outside of the houses, which were apparently a dull gray. And so they wanted to power wash off all this gray to reveal the beautiful red brick underneath. And I got some contemporary photos of Wooster Square neighborhood homes that showed that beautiful red brick. And there was great opprobrium leveled at the used car lot at the Part South. An eyesore, needed to go. What a horrible addition to the community. Once again, another example of poor planning. Never did they think about the fact that that used car lot was somebody's business, somebody's source of income, somebody's source of living. It was only about the way it looked. And so in my book, Coming Home, I created a fictional character who actually owned the used car lot, somebody that I hope my readers will care about. So here's the vision. Here's the Conti Community School schematic circa 1959, all the way over here. At the left is St. Michael's Church. And if you notice, here's a picture of St. Michael's Church with these buildings here, right? This is the school. And then these are some buildings. All of the buildings that would have been in the way of the Conti Community School, both in the front of the street and towards the back of the street, were going to be raised in order to build this school. State-of-the-art community school, no more individual schools in neighborhoods. So what's next? We're going to talk about redevelopment's human impact and the concept of root shock. So stay tuned for next time, and thanks for listening.